Hello everyone and welcome back to the Brightworks and another match of Beyond All Reason, where today, in the spirit of Big Team Christmas, we're going to be checking out a game that was played on Mediterranean. A 22 versus 22 all-out deathmatch between two gigantic teams of varying commanders, of varying skill levels and degrees, and going to be showing us exactly what they've got on the front lines, the many front lines of this epic, normally free-for-all map, instead going to be played left to right by these two different teams. So without further ado, why don't we meet our team leaders? Spawning in blue, spawning on the southern side, and spawning as a Cortex commander. It's going to be none other than the angry Strawberry herself, going into a couple of those Cortex wind turbines, and then of course the Cortex laboratory. Gonna be moving into thugs here, I do believe, eventually. Yeah, some of that early grunt gameplay, there's a lot of metal to claim here as well, and then you can easily start spamming out those thugs. A very obvious decision right here, especially on a short and narrow, easy to contest path. Should be good stuff. Gonna be going up against La Coxera 07 and K Sulfur over on the left-hand side, playing as a Legion commander. Very cool to see. Spawning just north of that, spawning as the red team leader, it's gonna be none other than Punji. Punji coming in at, 42 open skill, tied with Angry Strawberry on the top of the red team. Also tied with Andavaris, the yellow commander here, with 42 open skill as well. And going to be playing as one of those Cortex, as one of those Legion commanders here. Oh, looks like we have resources turned up too. Okay, so a little bit of a resource boost, it does appear on these commanders. Let's see if we can figure out how much it is. 2.0, it's a 1.3 resource boost, something like that. Very interesting. All right, means these commanders are going to have a lot of money in their pockets, means we should be in for a pretty cool game. I did see this match lasted a good long while. Well, about average. But for a 22v22, that's actually quite a bit long. Usually these matches tend to revolve around who can manage to get their tech up the fastest. Usually it's pretty much the stock standard on a lot of maps, but it's very rare that we get a chance to watch a team game on Mediterranean. Now, one of the things that I'm keeping my eyes peeled for is the tech center of each of these teams. Usually there's at least one. I wonder if it's going to be over here. Yeah, Andavaris going heavily into wind turbines right now. I wonder if that's where we're going to go. Wind speed is phenomenal on this map, of course, so it does mean most FFA maps have really high wind speed. That's why I say of course. So I wonder if that's what we're going to see here, is a little bit of wind turbine shenanigans for the red team, who also spawns with a massive lead in the Navy. Yeah, so you can see Baby Oil as well as, who is this? Adamars, the kind of pinkish maroon commander over there, spawning in the water. We also have Snidely Whiplash also spawning with those good old-fashioned Cortex boats coming up, rocking and rolling. Basically, there's a whole bunch of opportunities here for the red team to get into the water. The blue team doesn't have so many water spots. Yeah, we've got one on this northern side, and one or two down here on the southern side. Gonna be Hovercraft for Uncle Way. Spice Rub gonna be going for a, what a funny name. Spice Rub gonna be going for what is it called? A shipyard here as well. Trying to get into some of those naval vessels. Excellent aggression over here, though. This is the opener you're hoping for. Strawberry managing to push forward right here and do tons of damage to the brownish commander on the southern side of the map right now, overwhelming the base with a whole bunch of grunts and some excellent support coming out from the green commander, Mixosis, as well. I'm going to go ahead and close this so that we can see these names a little bit clearer over here, so that we, quote-unquote, me, can see these names a little bit clearer. All said and done, I think this is a fabulous bit of aggression. Yeah. Suddenly, K Sulfur is jumped upon as well. As you can see that these Legion units are struggling to keep up with the grunts here. We do eventually get one of those Centaur out and running, but it is a little too late. There we go. Some goblins finally blasting down the grunts over here, but it is a lot of grunts coming towards the base right now. We need some sort of static defense in order to hold on to this. LLTs start coming up, or LHTs start coming up right here, firing away their little heat ray beams. But the grunts already find the 3 wide wind turbines in the back, and we all know what that means. Boom! Go the wind turbines of the pink commander. K Sulfur loses it all in one big chain reaction. It's the reason why you never build 3 wind turbines wide, 2 at the very maximum, or else you gotta spread them out. Well, that's phenomenal damage. Just like that, Strawberry is basically uncontested on the lane. Now gonna start up that thug production and some aggravators here as well, and gonna eventually step up into a slightly more high-density composition here. Trying to push this front line back, brute force. Couple of grunts moving into the backline right here, tearing apart the base of Borg 1. Very cool to see as well. Wind turbines falling. Grunts are blasting. Constructor in a bit of trouble here as well. Yeah, but the Grunts are forced backwards. Trying to find whatever value they can. Snidely Whiplash in a little bit of trouble here. I think these Grunts are... maybe not. They're looking for trouble. Little bit of a blunder here. You can see we've got a T2 lab already up and running for Tengun Tank. And we've got a T2 lab coming up right here for Snidely Whiplash. So a little bit of dual ecoing here is never the most efficient path. Combining forces and pumping out those T2 constructors in yeah, you know, using basically one person's economy rather than two people's economy to go into two different labs. It's a little bit of a waste. Either way, it's one of those efficiencies you have to be really careful about, especially in these big team games. But there we go. The entire base of Tengen Tank completely shut down. Yeah, the energy production crumbles right now. As just like that, suddenly. The Brown Commander, was that? I think that wind turbine was still functional. You reclaimed it. Okay. A little bit of a miss micro right there. Boy, there's action all over the place. You have to pardon me if I miss some stuff, because there is non-stop fighting all over right now. A brutal submarine battle right here, but it will be the red team that manages to win a 2v1 fight right there. The torpedo launcher will keep these frigates safe for the most part, but they do have to be a little bit careful here. Lobbers now on the aggressive. You have to be careful with lobbers. They are quite fragile. Typically one of those units that really benefits from being bundled up in a gigantic group, firing away 100 projectiles at a time. Mace is a little bit sturdier and so going to work a little bit better here. Ooh, little swarm of grunts pushing forward as well, kind of attacking through the back lane right now, doing a little bit of damage to Strawberry's defenses. But all said and done, with those thugs coming out and the reinforcements on the way, I think this is going to be cleaned up nicely. Yeah, Resbots get to work immediately. Gonna start resurrecting whatever of this that they can. Resbot coming up first, and of course, the metal extractor is important to keep up and running as much as possible. Now I'm looking for the eco center here for the blue team as well. Looks like we have Legion Commander has gone for those overcharged mexes, and now we'll go into T2. It's one of those weird things about Legion, is that when you're playing a team game, typically those overcharged mexes are actually inefficient because you can get T2 up so quick that there's not really time for those overcharged mexes to find value. Typically they find most of their value when you're actually playing like a 1v1 lane, and then suddenly you can go into a higher tech eco where your opponent is still stuck on basically T1. Bit of a strange interaction that, but it is something to be aware of, especially if you're going to be playing as Legion. It's important because Legion is coming pretty close to finish, and I'm pretty excited about it, obviously. But as more and more commanders have to learn how to play Legion, I'm figuring probably the more I showcase Legion and how to play it, the better off everyone's going to be in the long run. Resbot's picking up a whole bunch of these units over here on the southern side. Love this. All these forces just to hold back the Strawberry. To be fair, though, Mixosis is here, too. So 2 commanders versus, I guess, 3 commanders right here. K-Sulfur now resorted to the front lines right now after that base has been torn apart. Finally gets it back up and running with a whole bunch of solar panels and wind turbines and all sorts of good stuff. Wind turbines definitely far and away more efficient on this map than solar panels, so it makes a lot of sense to go into a gigantic wind farm. We've got, whoa, loads of labs up here. Okay. This is a rookie mistake. One that we see commanders that are brand new to the game make all the time, so not uncommon to see this happen. But basically what the logic here is, I'll make more labs so that I can produce more units. But realistically, as far as Beyond All Reason is concerned, the way that you want to do this is by using one of these constructors to build what's called a construction turret. Has some build power tied to it. That's going to be able to assist your labs and pump out those units a whole lot quicker. Because otherwise those labs don't really produce units very quickly whatsoever. Resbot's in a little bit of trouble here, but basically just farming more and more units. Yeah, every one of these thugs that goes down just ends up turning into a unit in Strawberry's army. You can see almost as many of these units are resurrected as are produced. This frontline brawl, very difficult to sustain. Every one of these units that goes down for the red commander ends up getting back up and folding back into the army here for the blue.
Battle started.
The Resbots here trying their best to pick this entire army up as quickly as possible. T2 is out now, though. There we go. Belchers from Punji. The red commander has gone ahead into T2. Started firing away with those good old-fashioned T2 napalm chickens. Firing away with its extra long snozzle and melting down the T1 units here. Doing a great job. The Belcher is a very frustrating unit to play against because it can outkite most of your T1 units, and especially Cortex units. It's gonna do wonderfully against, because Cortex units tend to be bigger, bulkier, and slower. It means that usually that napalm has more time to work, and it can be very, very efficient. Yep, and just like that, just a couple of Belchers managed to do so much damage to this army that I think there's not really much point in fighting any further with the T1. Strawberry going to be forced to go into T2 if she wants to continue this fight. I think these res bots had better reclaim as much of this as possible. Yeah, I'm not convinced that the res here is going to be worth much more value. These T1 units are melting so quickly under that napalm that I don't think it's going to be... I don't think they have the sustain to keep fighting. I've been surprised before, and I'm a little surprised now. Those Belchers, when they do connect, you can see they'll start melting these units rather quickly. Yeah. Make it very, very uncomfortable to hang out around here. There we go. The reclaim command is finally issued right here. These res bots are going to be forced to get out of there, trying to reclaim as much of this as possible, but at the end of the day, there's only so much you can do. Big push on this side as well. Eventually repulse. There's a heavy laser tower up and running now as well. But most of this is just going to come up and running and be resurrected back into the folds here. Alright, a nice battle to watch. Have we got any more battles going on? Any more battles raging across the field here? Shell shockers raining down on boats and whatnot from the cliff sides up here is hilarious to see. Meanwhile, we've got a couple of frigates pushing forward, and the green commander has gone ahead and supported the cyan commander, trying to help pump out some boats and whatnot. There are shuriken in the air. I would love to see these shuriken used to paralyze these boats right here. Whole bunch of shuriken lingering around, but they're not being utilized. It's a bit odd. There we go. Finally pulled against the frigates. Finally used against the frigates here. Looks like a big old battle on this side as well. Sheldon now out on the line are going to be quite difficult to deal with. Borg 1 forced into retreat right here, as though Sheldon are going to be quite impossible to actually shut down. At least from range. All across the battlefield, rockets are firing. Shots are blaring. And there's something to be said for how aesthetic this looks. I mean, just appreciate this map for a second. It just looks beautiful, doesn't it? I wonder how balanced this map is for a left-to-right battle. It's one of those things that when you play with 20 players, you can't really try to balance it. There's only so much you can really do. Kirkinos out on the field here. Sort of like a Legion equivalent to a Centurion. Completely different as far as the evolutionary path goes. Pulled off of Kakarot 5. They were originally a sort of mono-armed creature, but their vestigial limb was basically turned into their shield-bearing appendage after it was assimilated. Lightning turrets firing away right here as these thugs get blasted as well. Sid's 3J trying to hold the line against a bunch of these units, and you know what? Lightning turret's doing a great job of it, actually. Yeah, can't complain. Despite the Sheldon and how badly they hurt, it's a pretty good deal right here. The lightning turret's holding their own. Strawberry's forces now push back because of these Belchers that have been firing away. Frontline T2 lab, a little bit concerning, obviously. The two Sheldon trying to blast this guy down. Eventually the Belcher does fall right here, but how inconvenient. Constantly losing the unit in the laboratory right here, just sinking metal. And those Belchers are a huge threat on the front. Yeah, this forward T2 lab is awfully exposed. Strawberry in a really rough spot right now. Yeah, now it's sieged by the Belchers, and the commander is starting to lose HP as the flame starts to scorch away that Cortex armor. This is a rough situation for Strawberry, indeed. Resurrected Belcher might make all the difference, though. We shall see. The Northern Navy has been broken, meanwhile. The Advanced Geo in a lot of trouble. D-Gun is launched. Boom goes one of those frigates here. Will he catch the destroyer? Nicely done from Dark Fury. He manages to catch the destroyer, narrowly saving his Advanced Geothermal from complete destruction. Very, very close call right there. Could have been very much worse, but luckily didn't end up being a complete disaster. Lightning turret's now firing away here, and a couple of ticks that are streaming forward right now for Browning auto rifle. Docking his way forward right now. I'm surprised we haven't gone into any Sheldon or sharpshooters or anything like that to try and blast down these static defenses. Meanwhile, the purple commander has the geothermal up and running. I'd love to see this turned into an A geo. We also have the economy in the backline being sieged right now by T1 destroyers. Always a little bit suspect. Meanwhile, a stream of infinite ticks has started their way towards the other side of the map. Yep. Rushing their way out of the laboratory right here for the... what color is this? The, like, dark purple commander? Yeah. Dentor. The Navy play right here. Relieving some of that pressure from Strawberry. This is nice to see. Strawberry having to deal with multiple angles right here. Very difficult to micromanage. Now that the Purple Navy has managed to wipe out all of the brown forces over on this island, and surely should be moving forward to try and kill the red base here as well, it opens up a lot of opportunity here for Strawberry to actually start pushing forward a little bit more, with a little bit more concentration. Hawks Tua marching backwards, building LLTs as they flee, scatter, run, in desperate need of some more energy production. We have a Legion A-Geo up and running, the Legion armed Geo, the Rampart, geothermal anti-nuke jammer, radar, drone platform, shoe cleaner, nail polisher. It does everything. It's the one and done. it's the geothermal that wears every hat. A little late in the game for an agitator. I'm surprised to see one of those on the field. My eyes are always drawn back to the southern side because I just can't resist watching a good old-fashioned fight. Everywhere else seems to be porking up. There's loads of static defenses everywhere. Everyone trying to cordon off sections of the map. You can see this this area going to be very difficult to push into. We do have a siege right here from one of these rocket boats firing away from out of range. Barbie Commander trying their very best to get a couple of these heavy transports up and running. I wonder what we're going to do with it. Meanwhile, the age of the duck is nigh. Or maybe is now. Decoy Commander coming up. Oh, okay, spicy. Decoy Commander coming up for the Green Commander. Going to go ahead and build one of those artificial commanders. It has no soul, it only looks like it. Sheldon finally turning to try and fire away at this little smidge of production over here on the northern side. Sid's 3J, probably best bet is just to get into the water and maybe move up to this northern land right here. But holding strong against the T2, building more and more T1 defenses. One of those situations where it's hard to say that more is less. Or less is more. More is definitely more. Ooh, K-Sulfur moving forward, nicely done. Yeah, Corps Commander, or Legion Commander managing to get a little bit of a pick right there, but not at the end of the day able to save the base from being overrun. Sheldon able to blast down the commander, and the fiends and resurrected striders had all moved forward. Oh, and indeed, forced to scuttle the facility. The pink commander is forced into complete desolation. Lakaxera 07 forced into a grand retreat and is now going to start headed towards the red main production facility. Hopefully there's enough defenses here to try and push back the forces of the blue commander, the blue menace. Angry Strawberry now pumping out a T2 laboratory, or T2 units from the T2 laboratory on the front line that just barely managed to stay alive and has now taken control over this southern side of the map. Wildfire napalm bombers moving out very slowly but very surely. We also have one of those gunships, the Stronghold gunship heavy transport. A very unique take on transport operations. Definitely an interesting one. See these wildfire in action. I feel like we hardly ever get to see the wildfire burning away. But there we go. Nicely done. Yeah, the wildfire actually doing a great amount of damage. Able to kill the fusion reactor at the very least. And how long do these burn for is the other question. Looks like long enough is the answer. Yeah, my goodness. Bombers continuing to deposit their payload across the face here. What an interesting kind of bomber. You don't see the effects of your bombing until 2 minutes later, which is pretty funny. But that APHIS is definitely falling. About 60 HP per second or something like that? Can't help but feel like maybe Phoenix's would have been a better bet. Those Wildfire Bombers, I feel like the Wildfire Bombers are much better at zoning. They're a zoning tool meant to cordon off certain areas of the map. That's a lot of Arquebus. Yeah, Strawberry forced to reconcile with the fact that that is just a gigantic amount of Arquebus. That many Arquebus can basically push into Sheldons without consequence. One of those things you have to be very aware of when you're dealing with Legion commanders, is that they have a lot of tools that can suddenly catch you off guard very, very quickly. Commander goes down as the nuclear bomber flies on. Oh, it wants to bomb that laboratory. Coming around for round 2. Oh, okay, well, we missed the laboratory. Missed the laboratory, but we did get the build power at the very least. The Manticore, as well as the other fighters here, will eventually shoot it down. Losing the build power definitely sucks, though. Yeah, that hurts. Strawberry's commander is detected. The Arquebus are overrun by the Fiends, though. They would have been able to snipe that commander had they not been overrun by the Fiends, but there was no sort of protection in front of them, no shotgunners, no anything to keep them safe from assault units. Now we've got a Grenadier firing out into the distance here, trying its very best. Submarines under the water also firing here too. Barracudas lying in lurk, waiting for the moment to strike. What a wall of laser towers right here that our brown commander has built. Tengun tank with just a million LLTs. Geothermal goes up on the northern side. Looks like the tick swarm has managed to push forward. Oh, where are they? Ah, the Phoenixes. I love Phoenixes so much. They're so cool. One of, if not easily, my favorite units in the game. They're so, I don't know, they're so stylish. Something about just erasing the entire, yeah, the entire planet beneath the bomber. Oh, it just tickles that, it tickles that part of the brain that craves that mineral. Here they go. Come on, show me what you got, Phoenixes. There we are. Whoa. Not the best connection I've ever seen, but certainly good enough. The Barracuda here are actually really funny. They're sort of the perfect static defense because there's not really a great way of dealing with them. All the Cortex Commander Strawberry can do here is basically target fire, which is pretty funny. We got Eviscerator cannons coming up on all sides of this mountain here, which is interesting too. Just firing away whatever they can. There's a line of Eviscerators built across the face of this map right now as more and more forces push through. T2 overwhelming the bases. Commander goes down trying to save his team. But how much is there to save? Glaucus, the fast attack hovercraft of the Legion faction, now swarming the coastlines here. And away they go, firing their multitudes of heat ray beams. Oh, those are satisfying to see. Oh, those are very satisfying to watch. 1,000 microwave ovens pointed in your direction. You're bound to melt. That's awesome. Keep moving though. These hovercraft are not moving anymore. A little bit of a micro slackage there. Not the end of the world, but best to keep them moving. Oh, there they are. Saw a big movement on this side. I wonder what it was. It was the ticks. The humble ticks. Dun, 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 dun. Running through and managing to pop some E-converters and other stuff, disrupting the production and the assembly here for the Red Commander and making this very, very inconvenient to push forward into. Lovely stuff indeed. Dare I say that the blue team has eked out a marvelous advantage at this point, with 87 to 90-ish metal production per second here. Definitely looking like they're in the lead. Capital ship shelling away at whatever it can, and empty geothermal, apparently the target of today's message. Zippo 9 in a little bit of trouble here. Does manage to survive the brief encounter with those Glavkus, though. Marauder trying their best as well, but there's too many of them. The swarm of ticks is beset upon the Marauder, and there's nothing they can do. Another Geo goes up. More and more of these LLTs are falling. Mammoth marching slowly ever onwards. What did Strawberry end up deciding to do? Oh, we've gone ahead and gone for a Catalyst tactical missile launcher. Very interesting. These Despot battleships are actually really annoying to deal with. There's not a great solution to deal with those, I would say. The eco is looking quite nice for the Red Commander, but there's enemies on all sides looking to push inwards. The Ducks, meanwhile, have managed to retake the high seas. No reason they shouldn't keep pushing forward here, though. Bombers. Heavy bombers, that is. Moving forward. The flak turret, though. The flak turret that could shoots down every single one of those bombers. Very nicely done. Gunships also making their way across, but not finding as much value as I think they were hoping to. Fighters engaging across all fronts. This is where the story is told, though. Commander goes down. The base is suddenly jumped upon. The trigger is pulled. The Strawberry pounces. More and more of those bombardiers have come up and running. I love these grenade launcher defenses. They really are cool. Such a thematic and stylish defense. Firing a little triple burst of grenades, and basically perfect for dealing with a swarm like this. My goodness. Yeah, if we take a look at the AoE, you can see it actually does a decent spread of AoE. It means that these defenses are quite good at dealing with grouped up swarms, but also, of course, the fact that they can fire a triple burst means that they can retarget and oftentimes won't overkill as harshly as some other static defenses might. E-converters pop, though, and that will be the end of the majority of the metal production here for the Red Commander, and indeed, looks like he throws in the towel. Titan's now rolling out of the laboratory in the backline here. We also have a T3 Air Lab up and running, but apparently no T3 Air shall make it out alive. We have bombers up and running. Ooh, bombers headed across. At this point, these bombers need to get such an immense amount of damage done that I'm not sure there's enough here. There we go. Boom goes the APHIS at the very least. The bombers are blown up because of it, though. One more bomber headed into the backline. Arquebus. Arquebus with the snipe. Nope, no snipe today. E-converter goes down. Capital ship here to try and stunt the effects of this, What happened over there? Oh, ducks. Of course. The mighty duck has gone on a rampage. Of course it has. Ah, splendid. Yeah, the base of the Blue Commander now in pure ruin. LRPC boats out on the water now. Firing away at whatever they can. Always cool to see. Titan standing amidst the stream of grunts right now, being blasted apart one laser beam at a time. I.e. very slowly. Titans are kind of like surgical strike forces. You're sort of meant to use them to break lines that otherwise are unbreakable. Punch into gaps in the enemy defenses. These T2 torpedo launchers doing a great job. Ravaging this base over here. Or this force over here, I mean. My goodness. Look at the damage those things can do to a despot. 5 or 6 shots managing to kill a despot is incredible. Bunch of swarmers go down right there as well. We do have a bomber. The Stormbringer bomber. Fighters keeping the bomber safe. Nicely done. Bomber looking to go in for the kill, but not entirely sure where the eco is. There we go. Yeah, I think we've got some idea. Ooh, fighters are colliding with it, though. Oh, bombs away! Boom goes part of the eco right here for the blue commander. Barely saved from that bomber, though. If all those bombs had deployed, it definitely would have been GG. But luckily for Strawberry, not the case, as the bomber is shot out of the air before it can deploy every one of its payload. More and more of these epic Stormbringers coming up here. They're very, very cool. Very powerful, but also very expensive. At 15,000 metal apiece, you can lose them quite quickly, and that could be a huge issue. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. The Titan breaking through into the back lines and just crushing whatever it can. This is exactly what Titans are meant for. Kind of. I imagine a self-destruct would be worth it here as well. The Titan brought low by thugs is pretty funny. Don't know the last time I've seen a Titan killed by a thug. Usually it takes rattlesnakes and pulsars and all sorts of other junk to kill a Titan like that. More gunships coming out. You know what? This game is a lot closer than I thought it was. I mean, despite the blue team having an overwhelming advantage across the board, there is still a lot of play happening here from the red team. I'm glad to see that they're sticking with it and trying to keep into the game. Going heavily into air production in the backline right here. You can see the Maroon Commander with a healthy economy pumping out tons and tons of those fighters right here. More and more gunships, more and more fighters, and I think continuing to scale the economy is important here too. Using one of these sections to build more APHIS, build more E-converters, all that good stuff. In fact, we can go for even more E-converters. I think it'd be in the best interest here of the red team. Look at the economy in the backline here for our purple commander, though. Showcasing exactly how one of these late-game economies could look, with just a ridiculous field of E-converters and APHISes and all sorts of stuff. Gigantic. Putting it all into capital ships. Pure capital ships. There comes a point in your capital ship production where you don't really need anti-air boats, because the capital ships can do enough of it. I love watching these epochs at work. Firing away their barrage of 5 different guns, all simultaneously firing. Instantly liquidating any any boat that they can point towards. Those cataphracts firing away too. I love the cataphract redesign. I was such a big proponent for the cataphracts being reworked from their old self. I'm so satisfied with the way that they've turned out. I think they're so much more valuable, so much more usable. It's my philosophy on any kind of unit in an RTS game. Every unit should be usable. There should be no unit that feels like such a waste of metal and money that it is never made. It's completely unusable. I think the EMP bomber is probably my greatest example at the moment about that. Ooh. Little chain reaction over here. Manages to take down another portion of those E-converters. Between that and the base that was lost over here, Strawberry actually is looking pretty low on E-converters. Yeah. Suddenly has a lot of energy and no metal to spend it. No E-converters to metal it. Laboratory will go down here for the Tan Commander, as the fleet of capital ships and anti-submarine ships marches forward. Pretty much eviscerating anything that comes within range. Oh, we have the nuclear submarines. Oh my goodness. Desolator is now out and available. I completely forgot about the nuclear submarines. There they go. Not sure why we're firing on our friendly base here. That was definitely a bit odd. Nuclear missiles launching all over the place. Oh my goodness. This is amazing. Watching these things work is hilarious. The economy for the Pink Commander has grown quite large. Pumping out loads of submarines here as well. Nuclear base for, or the nuclear bomb for Barbie Commander's base. There we go. Man, these Desolators are so cool. Oh, land anti-nukes are disabled. Oh, I see. I was curious. I was very, very curious why why the anti-nukes weren't up and running right here. Apparently they were disabled. Hold on. Oh, yeah. So the nuclear missiles were disabled, but the nuclear submarines were not disabled, so we can still fire nukes. Oh, it all makes sense now. It makes sense why there was no anti-nukes except for these geothermals, the Legion geothermals. Everyone trying to figure out how to make how to make some sort of anti-nuke because there are still nuclear options. Boom goes the base, however, of, well, the yellow and the red pinkish commanders. What a fighter swarm. The epic Tyrannus with a swarm of units all surrounding it here, protecting it from every angle. And it looks like the blue team's done it. Ladies and gentlemen, after a hard-fought battle, our blue heroes, from the southern all the way up to the northern sides, across the many faces of the Mediterranean, our blue heroes have managed to win it. And Snidely Whiplash earning most of the awards right here for doing just about everything, but Spooter Friend destroying enemy resource production and definitely contributing a lot too. Phew, what a match. Pure chaos. Absolutely pure chaos. So thank you for sticking around this long. If you did enjoy, I'm glad that that's the case. And I sure hope to see you in the very next cast of Beyond All Reason. Peace out, everybody.